Coming up on Bake Angel today, we're going to make some dairy-free blueberry burst muffins. So let's take a quick look at our ingredients. We have some flour, baking powder and salt, brown sugar, plant-based milk, plant-based butter, some gorgeous fresh blueberries, a lemon and 2 eggs. And we're going to start straight away by adding our brown sugar to a mixing bowl. And to that, I'm going to add my plant-based butter. Now I'm using unsalted plant-based butter here, and you can find the full recipe link in the description below, where I'll give you all of the measurements that you'll need to recreate these muffins. Now once those 2 ingredients are in your mixing bowl, you're going to go ahead and whisk them together with a hand whisk, or you could do this in a stand mixer as well if you prefer. And you just want to whisk it until it's combined, making sure that there's no lumps remaining from that brown sugar. Next then we're going to go ahead and add our 2 eggs. Now my eggs were removed from the fridge before I started this recipe. You want to make sure they're not cold when you add this, because that can actually affect the batter for the muffins. So just crack your 2 eggs into a bowl, pop them into the mixing bowl. Then we're going to go ahead and add the plant-based milk, a little bit at a time. Now my preference is to use an almond milk, but of course you can use whatever plant-based milk you like depending on your own dietary requirements. Give those a mix together, and then we can start to add the rest of our ingredients. Now this is where I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools that I like to use. Now this is a microplaner. You can see that I'm just quickly going to rub that lemon around the surface, and that's going to actually loosen the juice inside of it. Then I'm going to zest that lemon on the microplane. Now these are an incredible tool. I find that I actually probably get about twice the amount of zest as if I was using a small grater. So if you don't have one of these, I do have a link below on my Amazon shop where you can purchase one. And like I say, they are amazing, but also incredibly sharp as well. So do be very careful when you're using it. Now that's going to add a really nice citrusy flavor to the blueberries, which really complements it as well. But we're going to add a little bit more by adding the juice from that lemon as well. This is a handy juicer that I have. Again, you can find that on the Amazon store. And you're just going to add the juice from both halves of the lemon. And this will help to create some really nice moisture in the muffins as well. Now let's move that aside. I'm going to share one of my top tips with you. If you're ever adding fresh fruits into baked goods like a cake, cupcakes or muffins, always toss them in a little bit of the flour from the recipe. That's actually going to stop them sinking to the bottom of the muffins when everything bakes. And I know that you know what I'm talking about and how frustrating that is when you've baked something with fruit and it's all at the bottom. So just spending that little bit of time tossing it in flour makes all the difference. So now I'm alternating between adding my flour, baking powder and salt and the rest of my milk, and you're just going to keep mixing it together until all of those ingredients have been added and everything is fully combined. And there you go, that's our muffin batter made. So this came together really, really quickly. Now at this stage, if you hadn't added the lemon zest, you could actually use this as a regular muffin mix and add any assortment of flavors to it, like chocolate chips, different flavors of fruit as well. But of course, we're gonna add our blueberries. So when you do that, make sure you fold them in and you don't actually use the hand whisk to add them in, because that's gonna break them up and we don't wanna do that. So now we're going to go ahead and add them to our muffin cases. Now this recipe makes 6 large muffins. Of course, if you wanted to make cupcakes instead, you could do that, and you can find more information about the different combinations in the recipe link in the description below the video. Now you can see I'm using an ice cream scoop to fill my muffin cases as well. Firstly, because this is less messy, and also because I can control the amount of batter in each of those muffin cases. So to start, I've just added 2 scoops. I'm going to give that pan a little bit of a tap on the surface to level it out a little bit. And then we're going to add the not so secret ingredient. Now the key thing with a blueberry burst muffin as opposed to a regular blueberry muffin is that you have that extra little bit of blueberry in the middle that is just wonderful when you bite into it. And for that, I'm going to use the blueberry compote that I recently shared on my channel. Now, if you haven't seen that recipe, make sure you check out this video that I'll post above. It is really, really easy to make with just a handful of ingredients and is so good in things like muffins, like here, also on top of waffles and ice cream as well, and on cheesecake, which is another recipe that I've recently shared. I'm adding a generous teaspoon to each of those muffins, and that's just going to really help to have that flavor pop when you eat them. Give them a tap on the counter again just to level it out a little bit more. Then we're going to go ahead and add the rest of the muffin batter to each of those liners. Now don't worry that they look like they're going to be quite full. We do want really large muffins here, and it won't spill over the side because it's not a runny batter. Everything is going to hold in place and they are going to bake up wonderfully for us. So whilst I'm finishing off filling those, we'll just quickly talk about the baking. Now when you do start making this recipe, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the equivalent to 180 degrees Celsius, and make sure your oven has preheated before you put them in so you get a much more even bake. Now they're filled, give them another tap on the counter, then we're going to pop them in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes until they are well risen and lightly golden, just like here. Look how wonderful they look. You can see some of that blueberry bursting out already. They've got a gorgeous golden color to them as well, and I'm just going to let them cool a little bit before I show you what they look like inside. Okay, so let's show you what the blueberry burst part is all about. I know you can't wait to see what they look like inside. So these have cooled for a few minutes. They're still fairly hot though, and I do recommend leaving them cool for a few minutes before you eat them because that compote is going to be very, very hot inside and you don't want to burn yourself. Okay, so let's have a look. You can see how gorgeous that looks. Got a really great color on the outside, and that's the inside. Doesn't that look great? You can also see that none of the blueberries sank either, so tossing them in flour definitely made a difference to this recipe. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also check out the rest of the baking videos on my channel. Make sure you also check that recipe link in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Thanks for watching.